And this sound check is rolling. Microphone check 1 2.
And I am here to check for AJ, who's not here to check for himself. And I will provide the check that AJ can't check by checking this check.
Check 4. Check 4. Got it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Get Geek podcast. Thanks for joining us. I am your host, Walt. We're going to be running on a very lean skeleton crew this week. I have my other host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi guys, it's Gabe, aka the Wolf, aka I eat too many burgers, so I'm fat.
Hi, are those the White Castles?
What was that?
Are those the White Castles you're referring to?
I know not of what you speak of.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah.
I haven't had White Castle in a while, so
Really, I
haven't. I've been focusing on training and competing and all that stuff. So
dude, I
I've
always
been good
don't I?
for Christmas. Yeah,
Well, I was gonna
it
get
was
into.
supposed to be for my birthday, right? But like we're gonna wait
All
until I'm
right,
done.
you gotta let me know when to send it over, bro.
I'm afraid.
And it's on.
I'm
You
afraid.
know,
It's
listen, I'm no.
usually a crave case is followed by a period of sadness
Well,
at
dude,
how far I've gone down the
that
drain.
that's what happens when you wolf down like 30 White Castles in one shot. You know what I mean?
I only wolfed down 30 White Castles in one shot when I'm sitting there with you. So,
Well, that's true. That's true. So we'll leave that one alone. Anyway, so today it's just gonna be you and me.
the
AJ
dynamic duo.
is there you go. There you go. I mean, come on. That's it, right? AJ is studying for finals. Eli is working on a homework, and
Both very
Jose
responsible peoples.
absolutely, and Jose is also studying because he's got a
What?
certification exam on Monday. So, um,
For what?
good luck to him. Good luck to him. I think he's doing IT, but hey,
Oh, nice.
you know,
I didn't know that.
I, if he wants to go into that further, he can do that the next time he's on. You know what I mean?
Cool.
So, a lot of breaking news this week. We're going to be talking about the Disney Investor Day for 2020, which um, I remember you texted me on WhatsApp and saying it's like information overload, where
Yeah.
we're going to overload our audience with all the stuff that came down
Oh
there,
man. Oh
and
man. Just be ready,
of
guys.
course,
It's a lot of
yeah,
information.
there's a lot.
I'm sure that you guys have maybe picked up on it already. If you guys follow us, and you're probably nerds just like us, and follow a lot of the information that's out there already, because there's nothing that can be hidden anymore apparently from Disney, or rather, there's nothing that Disney can hide
That
apparently.
is true. That's your
So
lament right there, because you're like,
yeah,
damn, can't they keep some of this stuff secret? You know?
I mean. And then the thing is that like there's also something that ties into the Mandalorian that I knew was happening, but but I'm saddened that it's been confirmed.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we'll get into that.
yeah, we'll get into that. We're also going to be talking about, of course, as we've been doing for the last, what is that, six six weeks. We're going to be talking
Hmm.
about the Mandalorian, chapter 15, the penultimate episode, which was called The Believer. So we're going to get into all of that. But before we do, let's just get some maintenance issues out of the way. As always, we ask you to please rate, review, and subscribe the show. That's the easiest way for you guys to help us out. It gets us more exposure. It also, provides us with kind of an insight of what you guys like regarding what we're doing, maybe stuff that you don't like. And plus, I also want to, reach out to you guys. And if you guys want to reach out to us, you can always email us at getgeek55@gmail.com. I'm hoping that if we get enough emails in, we can kind of start like a mailbox, so we can, put in some of the input of our fans and our audience here, and maybe we can ask some questions and things of that nature. So again, if you want to do that, just shoot us an email, give us a shout out, and please, like I said, rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Also, since we are in the middle of a pandemic, and unfortunately, it seems like it's getting a little bit worse before we have gotten some really great news on a vaccine. But because of that, we're trying to do everything to keep everybody safe. So we are recording remotely, and we're doing the best that we can with our sound, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. But
Yeah, we've kind of ironed everything out, I think.
yeah, I think so. But if you do hear a sound artifact here or there, just know that it's kind of the price of doing business nowadays. And again, we're doing our best to make sure that you don't hear it. But just in case you do, please forgive us. And eventually we'll get back to an in-person recording, and then we won't have those issues anymore. So that being said, I think we should start with the show.
Oh, we
All
got one
right.
more thing that we gotta let our audience know too.
Oh yes, please. You wanna
Well,
impart on that?
well, it's that
I
time of the
completely
year
forgot
where
about that.
we got to spend time with our families, as best as we can, obviously while still social distancing and being safe, keeping everyone safe. But we are going to be taking a little bit of a break, for a couple weeks. So there's only about a couple episodes left, and then we're going to take a little Christmas break and then come back in January with our, I guess, 2021 season
I
of the
guess.
Get Geek podcast. So
Yep.
just letting you guys know that if you don't see something coming up, it's not that we are gone. It's not that we've disappeared or that we've ended the show. We're just taking a little bit of a winter family break to recharge a little bit, give you guys a little bit of a break from possibly, I don't know. I always say that I sound like a croaking frog, but a little break from my voice
Please.
in your ear and stuff. But just to kind of reset everything and have some time with our families and get back to work when the new year turns over.
Yep. Sounds like a plan.
But yeah,
So, um, man, we got to talk about this event that they had. Well, it's
you
not
know,
really an event if you think
yeah,
about it.
you know, I gotta say, it wasn't an event. It was supposedly an investor call. However, they had like a stage and all this stuff. Like it was an
Yeah.
event just for the investors that happened to somehow get, I guess, accidentally leaked on purpose.
Well, I
Which is
think I
what
think
Disney seems to do.
I think what it is that especially in this day and age, nothing can really be kept secret.
No,
Um,
that's not true.
and well, for the most part, yeah, because I remember Apple used to be infamous for their secrets and
Right.
things like that,
Yes.
and
Yes.
even J.J. Abrams was infamous for his ability to keep things
Yeah, but
under wraps
hold
and
on,
stuff,
hold on.
and
Disney
it's
can do
harder
this.
lately.
Disney can do this. You want to know why?
Shoot.
Because they did it with Ewan McGregor. He knew for 6 years.
Yeah, but everybody was asking questions about it.
Everybody was
That's
asking, but
kind of
nobody had to confirm. Disney is now just like, hey, Mandalorian season 2 hasn't finished yet, but we're gonna release the date of Mandalorian season 3.
I guess,
You
I
know what I mean?
guess,
Come on
I
now.
guess. But you know
So
what? Again, I also look at the casting for She-Hulk, and Tatiana Maslany was saying no, 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 and guess what? It ended up to be true because they
yeah,
did
yeah, that's
confirm it at
true.
this event. So it's getting a little bit harder. Let's just put it that way. You know,
It is. It is. I just think that they can do a better job of it. But they're it's
probably.
like they're not really trying either, to be honest with you. So
I mean, they're freaking Disney. They could have put NDAs out there and held people at gunpoint and whatnot and say, you know what, if
I mean,
you
the thing
release
is that
this stuff.
that's true, but at the same time, look, it's an investor call. Okay, if you just get on the investor call and say like, "Hey, we have these are the property, these are the amount of properties that we're going to explore to be announced," right? Like just like they kind of did before, like we're going to have a High Republic, show. We're going to do this. We're
Hmm.
going to do that. They can have like that information given to the investors without leaving it to the possibility of a spoiler. Like for example, you don't need to tell the investors that we're going to have Hayden Christensen back. You can leave that as a surprise. You can just be like Darth Vader will come back to the show, and then leave the surprise of Hayden Christensen in there. You know,
I gather it's the difference between fans and investors, and fans would love to hear that stuff. Investors kind of need to hear that stuff if they're going to continue to invest. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know, man.
But hey, listen, it is what it is. I mean,
You're not you
that's
you
the
can't sell me on that one, man. It's Disney and it's Star Wars and it's Marvel. You don't need a reason to continue to invest other than those names. It's
that is
literally
true.
like, hey, like, this is Star Wars. So,
That
oh,
is true.
sweet, here, take my money. It's
That is
Marvel.
true.
We're doing all you gotta say is like, off of our Star Wars products, we made this much profit, and that's it. Now, if you say Star Wars products and it's a losing IP, then you got to start giving them reasons to want to keep investing. But that's not the truth. They just want to spill the beans because they want. I don't even know why. You could have
Well,
even had this investor call a week
mhm.
after the last episode of Mandalorian.
That I do agree. That I do
you
agree. I
know,
think
so
I think you could have held this off, because now it kind of overshadows what's going on with the Mandalorian.
exactly.
Which again, that's kind of like a theme because that even happens in his own show, right? But we'll
Right.
get
So
into that
that's
later.
actually so
You know.
well, no. So this is part of Disney, and I wanted to wait till we start reviewing the Mandalorian, but no, we got to talk about this now. This is the issue that I'm having with this season, and it got confirmed with the investor call. While I understand, like obviously, this season is to set up, all these, the extra characters,
That's what it
introduce
feels like.
him, right?
It feels like these
That's what it feels
backdoor
like, right?
pilots.
Right.
Backdoor pilots for all these characters.
Right. The investor call confirms that. So now, like, I don't have that much. I mean, obviously, I'm going to love I hope I'm going to love the next and final episode that's going to come out. But to me, like, I already know that like every episode's about setting up all these shows, and the fact that these shows are now confirmed and announced, I'm just like now I'm gonna look at the next episode. It's like, oh, okay, so what are they gonna do in this episode that's meant for the rest of the universe versus meant for the Mandalorian? You know what I
You know
mean?
what?
Like the steam is out.
If you look at it this way in hindsight now, especially when because I think you and I were both in lockstep in terms of the Mandalorian and how we felt. There was too many filler episodes this season, and they
Yeah,
never really got to it. And in hindsight, maybe now as we see the bigger picture with this investor day call, um it kind of makes sense because they chose to use this season not as a vehicle to advance the story per se, but it was also a way to kind of again do these little backdoor pilots here and there
right.
for characters that eventually we are going to see down the road in their own series and stuff. So
Yeah, but see
um
again, that's
that's
my
bad
issue.
though to do it that
Where
way.
because the thing is we already have a cinematic universe and stuff like that, and sometimes, like, as much as I love, like, for example, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I love how every single movie intertwines, but I don't necessarily want every TV show and every comic to be super intertwined with the movies, right? I want a little bit of separation. I want the show to be about I want in the Star Wars universe, I want the Mandalorian to be about the Mandalorian. I want Ahsoka Tano's show to be about Ahsoka Tano. But I'm here now expecting every single one of these shows to be an overarching spaghetti kind of connection to all these other shows that makes the show less about the title character itself and more about the expanded universe itself,
Yeah.
which, while I like the connections, I don't want the show to be about the connections to the other shows. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Like, it's cool that
absolutely.
it's great that we have Ahsoka Tano. It's great that we got Boba Fett back. You know how I feel about Boba Fett, but it's if the story of the actual show, the character development of the property itself, is impacted, in my view, negatively because of this whole connection to all these other shows in the universe at large, then it makes the property itself a little bit less valuable to me. Right, the first season of The Mandalorian was great because I had no connection to anything else. Right, it was just about the
Right.
Mandalorian and the child.
And it
This
was it was
one,
interweaving existing properties into it and
yes, it was.
enriching those properties.
Right, but it
Now
still made the show about the Mandalorian. This one
exactly, exactly.
is not about the Mandalorian. I mean, even the last couple episodes, which we had Ahsoka and Boba, and this last episode, which I thought was, one of the best episodes out of both seasons, it still made it feel less about Mando and more about Ahsoka and Boba and the properties that they're going to be a part of.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get
Um,
into the Disney
yeah.
and as a
Let's
whole.
put a pin on that point because I think we're going to get back to that point once we start talking about
Yeah,
everything that they announced here. But let's start with this one. Disney is going to be they're going to be launching a brand new streaming service. Now, the streaming service doesn't impact people in the US, but it does impact people, in other places such as Europe and Canada. I believe it's also coming out in New Zealand, and I also believe in like Asia and whatnot. But this thing is called Star. And so what it is, it's kind of so to give you some sense, here in the states, Disney has bundled three of their streaming services together. ESPN, which is their sports branch, and I think ESPN is known as a worldwide brand. It has that brand recognition, right?
right.
Disney Plus, obviously, we know what that is, and they also have a thing called Hulu. So for the people who are here in the states, you know what Hulu is, and Hulu is kind of like an amalgamation of all the other things that Disney has. FX, they do some of their more adult properties there. There has its own original series. Now the thing about it is that Hulu is not available outside of the states. This is more so Star
Oh, I
is
didn't know
kind
that
of like,
actually.
yeah, Hulu is more localized to the United States. Star is now its replacement for the international Disney Plus subscriber set.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
so what's going to happen is that this thing is rolling out on February 23rd, and it's going to live inside of Disney Plus. You know how like if you go into Disney Plus, it has the different tabs for Marvel, Star Wars, Nat
Right.
Geo, and
Right.
things of
Right.
that
Right.
nature. It's going to have its own star called Star.
Oh,
Okay, its
sick.
own
Nice.
thing called Star. And so there in that little bubble is where everything that Hulu offers is now going to live in Star for our international folks. So, that's coming out. There's also going to be a Star Plus for the Latin American subscribers, and that's more um, sports related. So they're going to carry ESPN and ESPN Plus stuff there.
The
Um,
Ocho.
the Ocho, exactly.
ESPN the Ocho.
So you're gonna have all that. So that was one of their big announcements, especially for the international folks. That begs the question: what happens to Hulu going forward? Does it get blended into Star, or does the states keep Hulu and everybody else gets Star? At that point, at this point, we are not sure. So that's one of these things that we're going to have to stay tuned on. So there's that. Disney also did announce some of their stuff for their Disney television studios. Beauty and the Beast is going to have a series made for them, along with a reimagining of Swiss Family Robinson. Percy
Really?
Jackson. Yep. So we're going to have that coming. And they're also developing, and AJ, I wish he was on this because this is one of his favorite book series. Percy Jackson and the Olympians is going to have a
Oh, actually, I did
series.
see that. I did see that. Just a quick little mention for you, Walter.
Sure.
I again the whole information overload thing. I kind of removed myself or mentally blocked myself from anything related to the Disney news because I saw so much stuff coming out that I was like, you know what, I can't really get into this. This is way too much. So we're gonna. I just so you know, moving forward for this episode, just act as if I don't know anything that you're talking about because I actually don't. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
try to be like, wow, what? Oh my god, give you reactions.
Well, there
All
was
right.
so much that what I had to take like a day and a half just to kind of dive in and look at all the things and kind of make it so that we can have like a coherent discussion here because like you said, it is information overload. There was a lot of things that they put out there, so bear with us because we're trying to unoverload some of the stuff and unpack some of the stuff that they put out there. So we have those series that are coming out for Disney Television Studios, and again, that's going to live in Disney Plus. They're also creating um, four more series, live action. The Mighty Ducks is going to have a series. It's called Game Changers, and it's going to pick up where the
Really?
films left off. Yep,
What?
and Emilio Estevez will return. So,
What?
yep.
No
So
way.
for all you Mighty Ducks
Oh my
fans,
gosh, I love the Mighty Ducks.
it's time to get back on the rink. You know.
I was wondering if like you're talking about Mighty Ducks the cartoon is getting a live
No,
action.
no.
Oh,
This is
what?
actually we're going
Damn.
hockey here.
Oh my
Turner and
gosh, that's
Hooch.
awesome. Oh, I can't wait now.
Turner
Dang,
and
that's cool.
Turner and Hooch is also getting a series. So
What?
you know what Turner and Hooch is, right?
I I
That was the movie with Tom Hanks and his
right.
mastiff. That you
Yes.
know,
Oh my
so that's a
gosh, what the
buddy
heck?
comedy. Yep.
Oh
No,
my
Tom
god.
Hanks is not returning for this show. They have a
I
star.
imagined.
Josh Peck is going to be in the Tom Hanks role.
Oh my gosh. It's
Yep.
kind of crazy.
Um.
But to be honest with you, it
mhm.
almost kind of makes sense because if I think of like if you think about the Disney Channel is full of all these like properties that are kind of meant to be extension of the movies that they do in some way or another, you know.
Yeah.
At least the Disney Channel that I grew up with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's part and parcel of what they do. They, Disney has a lot of properties out there, and it seems like they're going to be taking advantage, full parcel on some of these. Um, there are the two other shows that aren't based, at least in my knowledge, on anything that's existing for Disney. One is called Big Shot, which takes place in high school basketball, girls basketball, and John Stamos is going to be starring on that one. And then there is a series based on a book series called The Mysterious Benedict Society. Tony Hill is going to be helming that one. So
Interesting.
those
Okay.
are those are our Disney television studio offerings that they've announced.
Interesting because here I thought it was just Star Wars and Marvel stuff that came out.
Oh no, they included some Nat Geo stuff in there also. Um, one that I will kind of mention, there is going to be a series called Limitless with Chris Hemsworth. Welcome to the Earth, and it's going to be
Really?
featuring also Will Smith.
What?
Um, yeah,
Wait,
so
this is Nat Geo.
this
This is
is
Nat
Nat
Geo.
Geo.
Oh, okay,
So
okay, 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 okay.
it's one series called Limitless with Chris Hemsworth. There's another one called Welcome to Earth, which stars Will Smith, and you're going to have another documentary film based on Cousteau, and that one
Oh
is
man, that
actually
sounds
going to
awesome.
go into the theaters before coming to Disney Plus.
If theaters are still a thing
Right, exactly.
in the future.
Yeah. Going on to Hulu. Hulu will get a season 4 of the Handmaid's Tale, and they have been renewed for a fifth season. So for all you Handmaid's Tale fans out there, my wife being one of them, that's exciting news. You also have I believe it's a series called Nine Perfect Strangers, which will star Nicole Kidman. In terms of FX, uh, you're going to have 4 additional seasons of It's Always Sunny on in Philadelphia. Um, you get an
That's a wonderful show.
adaptation. Yeah, I know it is, and it's going to be the longest running live action sitcom in television history. So, good on them for that. You know, I believe Jose is a huge fan of that series.
That show's got great writing, amazing comedy.
Yep.
So good.
Um, Another announcement that has AJ excited is a series adaptation of the classic sci-fi film Alien. Um, and
Really?
yep,
Holy
and this one
crap.
is exciting for me. Um, FX is also going to be doing a series based on Shogun. So, um,
Shogun the
the
film? The
old
old school.
series. Yep,
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
they're going to be
Really?
They're going to be doing a retelling of that, and it's going to be set in feudal Japan. So
Oh, that sounds awesome.
that is something that
Holy
I'm looking
crap,
forward
man.
to. There's a lot of stuff,
That
you know.
that's that's oh my god. I feel like we need like an episode just for this stuff. This is way too much.
Yep. And last but not least, there is a 2-season order for a drama series called The Stones. And for all you rock fans, yes, it is about the Rolling Stones.
Oh, actually, I did read about this. I read about this actually before this whole investor call thing. It actually came out, I think, in one of those pages that I follow on IG, like rumor pages and stuff.
Hmm.
So it might have actually even been fandom.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff there, um, and that's kind of like an overview of everything that's not related to Marvel and Star Wars, and that right there is a lot. Like you said, we can do an
Yeah, just on
entire
the Disney
episode
stuff. I
just
mean,
on
that's
that.
it's almost like, to be honest with you, just on that, I feel like that is all this stuff is what Disney Plus should have debuted with.
I
You
agree
know what I mean?
because
Like this is like it's almost like we're hearing the announcement of all the content that's going to be launching with Disney Plus.
I hate to say it, I feel like I subscribe to Disney Plus only to watch The Mandalorian at
Oh,
this
that's
point.
absolutely true. I
You
mean,
know?
I watched like it was nice to like revisit the nostalgia of X-Men the animated series,
Yeah,
Gargoyles,
yeah.
the DuckTales, but only for a little bit, just to kind of revisit it, just to like have it there. But it's not; those aren't like I guess like in the console world, you have like games that move consoles, and we call them console movers. And
Hmm.
these aren't like stream movers, except for the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
but yeah.
All right. So before we go on, I do have to mention the Walt Disney Studios motion pictures productions. The things that are coming out. We're getting a sequel to Hocus Pocus. We're getting reboots to Three Men and a Baby, Cheaper by the Dozen. There's going to be a new Sister Act film, and Whoopi Goldberg is coming back for that movie.
Oh, really? Hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
We're getting a live action movie for Pinocchio starring Tom Hanks. We're getting a live action movie for Peter Pan and Wendy starring Jude Law. We're getting a
Peter Pan
sequel.
and Wendy with Jude Law.
Jude Law is Captain Hook.
What?
Yes.
Oh snap!
There's a lot here.
You know
Um
what though? Like it'll never. Like I
it
could
feels
never ever.
weird
Well, I can never replace Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook in Hook,
in Hook,
along with
right?
Robin Williams. I absolutely love that movie.
Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see if Jude Law is up to the task, and he's a fantastic actor, by the way. He really, really is. What else we got here? Oh boy. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. It's going to be a hybrid live action film starring John Mulaney and Andy Samberg. That one sounds
What?
interesting.
Oh my
That one
gosh!
sounds really interesting. You know, just the fact that Andy Samberg is involved, sign me up right now. That's something that I want to see.
For me, Andy Samberg is like he's good, uh, but like sometimes he's really really funny to me, and sometimes yeah, it's a little much. You know what I mean?
Okay. I still love
Yeah.
the stuff that he did in Saturday Night Live, especially all those music videos that he did.
Oh
Some of those
yeah,
things
he
are
did. Yeah,
great.
those all that
You
stuff is
know,
classic. That's the stuff that brought him to prominence. I do like
exactly.
Brooklyn Nine also. Um, but it's not a show that I can just like watch at any time either.
I hear you. I
Got to
hear
be in the
you.
mood for. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's
makes sense.
dope that he's got something going now with this too.
Yeah,
I can
I
totally see
wonder.
him in this actually. Now
He's
that I
got to be
think about
Dale.
it, this works out.
He's got to be Dale. I think the Dale is like the goofy one between the two. I think he's perfect
Exactly.
for Dale. So that's gonna work out just fine. Um, you remember the film Enchanted? We're getting a sequel to that.
Yeah. Really?
Disenchanted, and Amy Adams is returning it again. So
Okay.
pretty on the nose with the title on that one, right?
Yeah.
For you sports fans, we have a film. It's a biographical film called Greek Freak, and that is about Giannis Antetokounmpo. I always screw up his name.
Yeah, yeah.
um, just
I just, I
I'm
just, I just say Giannis.
Giannis.
He's the only,
Giannis.
he's like, it's
Antetokounmpo. There you go. Antetokounmpo.
unto
I hope that's.
Acapulco,
I don't know.
Acapulco,
Anyway,
Mexico.
he gets a film. Uh, we are going to get animated takes from Diary of a Wimpy Kid and The Night at the Museum. So that's the night at the museum was the one that Ben Stiller uh,
Right.
did way back when. I
Yeah.
think they got like 2 or 3 movies out of that.
Oh yeah, they got three. They got three
Yeah.
movies.
And we're going to get Jungle Cruise, which is upcoming. We get Cruella. We get a prequel to The Lion King, and we get Little Mermaid. So these are all live action films that are in the pipeline already. I'm kind of surprised with the prequel to The Lion King. I wasn't aware of that, but hey, it's there. So, and Jungle Cruise is the one I believe with The Rock that's coming up pretty soon. So,
Yeah.
so
Is that
now
is that coming to stream or is it going to movies also, to theaters also?
I don't know. I do believe that they're going to try and push that into theaters, but they didn't mention it on the call, so um, we got to find that out. What I can tell you is that their next um, animated film, which is called Raya and the Last Dragon,
Oh
that one's going to go
yeah,
the route of Mulan. So that one's
it's
going to
gonna
be
release on
set
stream by like
and in theaters.
paper. Oh, and theaters.
And
Okay.
theaters. So this comes out in March, upcoming, and you can get it you can go to the theaters if again provided theaters are all open, or you can get it on Disney Plus Premier Access, and that's going to be $29.99, and I believe it's going to follow the same rules as Mulan, where you get it, and once you pay for it,
Yeah.
it always lives in your Disney Plus subscription. So you got that. What else we got here? There's a movie called Encanto with Lin Manuel Miranda that's coming
Oh, I
out in
remember hearing
November.
about that too. Actually.
Yep. We also have titles Baymax. Now, if you remember Baymax, Baymax was from Big Hero 6, which was their animated anime Disney movie back then. Zootopia is getting a sequel called Zootopia Plus. Tiana is getting a sequel. Moana is getting a sequel. So there's a lot going on there. Moving on to Pixar. Pixar is going to have a long form animated series called Win or Lose that's going to show up on in February of 2023. So they're really scoping this out into the future, and that's about a middle school softball team. Okay. You also have 2 feature films. One of them is called Turning Red, and the other one, which piqued my interest, is called Lightyear. And so Lightyear is
That's the
that's the
that's
one Toy
the
Story.
yeah, the Toy Story. It's Buzz Lightyear's like origin basically series, right? It's a
Yeah,
series, not a movie.
no, it's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie. I thought it was a series.
Yeah, no, it's a movie, and what it is, Chris Evans is going to voice Lightyear, and
What?
it's the
Oh, that's
origin
awesome.
story. It's the origin story of not the toy, but the hero that inspired the toy. So, that's why you can have, you know, 2 different voices for the same character because this is the actual guy. This is the actual Buzz Lightyear. So Chris Evans is going to take that on. What else we got? We got another feature film called Luca, and then there's a couple of Disney series inside Pixar, Pixar Popcorn, Doug Days, which it refers to the dog from the movie Up, and Cars. So, and that's Lightning McQueen and all those guys. So that's what's coming for Disney studios in terms of the films and the series and the animated stuff and Pixar.
Right.
So that brings us to the biggest 2 properties that they have. I think we'll start with Marvel first because Marvel had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was a ton of stuff. There was a ton of like very interesting information that came out, right? As far as like actors that were named and an actor that was not named.
Yeah, hit me with hit the audience with that one.
Well, with Black Panther, they formally announced that they will not be recasting uh, King T'Challa and the original Black Panther role, which leads us to believe that it's going to be his younger sister that's going to be taking on the role.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's
or at least younger sister. I forget her name. The younger sister in the in the film. You know,
yep.
unless they're going to just like completely go left field and give the Black Panther role to someone else completely.
I think they're gonna kind of fall on her. I think
Yeah,
she's kind of set up for that, you know.
yeah.
So, but that's good
Now let me
news.
ask you a question. Do you think that like is she set up to be the interim Black Panther until there's a new king that gets crowned at the end of the film, or do you think that they're gonna keep it with her as the Black Panther moving forward? Because they did say that she's going to have a much more expanded role, but they didn't say what that means. She can totally be the interim Black Panther and be the star of this next film, but just kind of holding the title until there's a new king named.
I guess, but I really do think that Shuri is going to be the Black Panther. There's
Shuri, that's right.
precedent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
No,
think
that's yeah for sure. Yep.
there's precedent in the comic books, and I think it kind of blends in with Disney's role of diversity and inclusion,
Hmm.
and it kind of shakes things up. So I think it'll be a good role for her. I think she'll be able to do it well. She is one of the smartest people on the planet, which is pretty good, and maybe that sets up the Illuminati in some way, shape, or form going further down into the future. But I think, at least in my mind, for the short term and definitely probably longer term, she is going to be the Black Panther going forward.
Okay.
I don't think that they're going to take that title away from her really really quickly, especially like that first film.
Okay.
I think it's going to be her. I think it's going to be her. But that's just my opinion. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get through some of this stuff real quick.
Let's run through the list. Just go ahead and give me the list of everything that was released, and then we'll pick out what to talk about. Yeah.
Definitely, because like I said, there's a lot of stuff, and we still have the Mandalorian to
Exactly.
talk about. So let's just get through this real quick. Um, Three new series announced: Secret Invasion, starring Samuel L. Jackson, and that deals with the Skrulls. Ironheart is getting a series and that deals with the protege of Tony Stark, Riri Williams, right?
Yeah.
Um, I One that I'm excited for, Armor Wars, and Don Cheadle is coming back as James Rhodes, aka War Machine. For fans of the comic books, you know what that is. And of course, they did show some trailers for some pre-existing, already announced series that's coming out: WandaVision,
Right. Yeah. WandaVision
Falcon, the
and
Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
yep.
Loki. There was one for What If. They did have a scissor reel for Miss Marvel. Um, Hawkeye. We've seen some set pictures with Haley Stanfield joining the series. She-Hulk. We get confirmation that Tatiana Maslany is in the role, and
Mm-hmm.
Mark Ruffalo and Tim Roth, who played the Abomination, is coming back for that show.
Oh snap! Tim Roth is coming back.
Yes, he is.
Oh,
You
that's
know.
awesome.
Yep. Moon Knight,
Sick.
which we already knew about.
Hmm.
The Guardians of the Galaxy get a holiday special.
I totally want to see somebody completely dressed in white.
Yeah, which is interesting because prior to this phone call, guess what I was watching? I was watching the Star Wars holiday special, the old
Interesting.
1997 one, which is horrible.
I
But
have
I
yet to watch it.
digress. Oh, please. Well, I'm
I
surprised
don't
you
need to
haven't
watch
watched
it.
it.
I don't
Dude,
need to watch it.
that's where they introduced Boba Fett,
I
which
know.
is
I
totally
know.
weird.
I
It's
know.
totally weird because he doesn't have the right color scheme. He almost has like a Mandalorian look to him, and
Yeah.
it's
It's all
just
like one white
completely
color.
bonkers. It's completely bonkers. If
The
listen, if you
holiday
have,
special Boba Fett toy is one of the rarest and highest priced
I can
collectible toys on
imagine.
the market because it was released in such a short batch. And then that holiday special was so trashed that they just cut production And because of that, there has been such a small, limited quantities of this fully white armor Boba Fett.
Listen, I can get into all the backstories of the holiday special. I don't think we have time for all of that, but
Yeah.
suffice to say, it was just a complete disaster. So hopefully, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is going to be way better than that. And by the way, the new Star Wars Lego holiday special, awesome. You should definitely check it out. Um, but anyway, getting back to this, Guardians of the Galaxy also gets a series of original shorts. One of them being "I Am Groot," which includes Baby Groot. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
We also get word of two new feature films: Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is going to be the third film in the Ant-Man franchise, and we get Fantastic Four. Finally, we do have an
Again.
announcement. Yeah, I know.
For the
Hopefully,
fourth time.
listen. I hope that they'll do this one right. I have complete faith in all things
Again, I
Feige.
just want to go on record and say that I thought that there was a lot of potential in the last Fantastic Four. I just think that I thought that the characters were, I think that the acting ability of the character of the people that played their roles was pretty, like it was good. I just hate what they did with Doom. It always falls on Doom. Like you
Doom
gotta
has
Doom right.
never been.
Doom is such an important character in the Marvel world. I don't understand why they can't just get it right.
I will give them this much for the first three Tim Story movies, the ones that were directed by Tim Story. They had the guy that was, he's a good look for Doctor Doom, but the minute that he opens his mouth, you lose all
Yeah.
credibility with him. And he's a great actor. I've seen him on Nip Tuck. I can't remember what his name is, but he's a very good actor. He just doesn't embody Doctor Doom.
You wanna
You know,
know who
he's
does
got
embody
his
Doctor
look.
Doom?
Cool.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Ooh,
That would be the
that's
perfect Doctor Doom.
that's a good one. I
He
like
has
that.
the body, he has the head, he has the look. You know,
And he's got
he
the
has like that.
menace.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's got that menacing kind of posture.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah,
I
that
I
would be freaking
really
amazing.
I really like that,
Yeah.
you know. But we'll see.
That would be
Hey,
so good.
we
Oh
should
man.
we should start a hashtag Mads Mikkelsen as Doom.
Yo, oh my god, dude. We need like a Doom origin story.
There you go. Listen, I would just watch just Doom on his own, separate from
Yeah,
Fantastic Four.
that's what I'm saying.
You know.
Doom is so deep. So such a deep character, such a deep
Oh my
history with, oh
gosh,
man, so
I'm
good.
excited right now. We got to start a
Yeah.
campaign.
Yeah, we do. We
Everybody
absolutely
listening, start the campaign now. Doom
yo.
movie, and I'm not
If
talking
we
about Doom the video game. Doom,
Yeah.
as in Doom, Doctor Doom.
We gotta get Boss Logic to do some artwork. We gotta get the hashtag going. I mean, if we can get Rosario Dawson to be, fan selected and cast by, Lucasfilm for Ahsoka Tano, then we can 100% get this happening. This is
Oh
too
my
perfect.
gosh! And he's got the accent for it also.
I know. Oh my gosh, this is
He's
so
just
good.
he's so perfect for that
You
role.
heard it here first, guys. If it happens, it's because of us.
Listen, I love Mads in anything, so I'll definitely watch this.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so the last beat of they just reaffirmed their upcoming schedule: Black Widow, Shang-Chi,
Hmm.
Eternals, Doctor Strange,
Hmm.
Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther 2, Blade,
Okay,
Captain
Tyson.
Marvel 2. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get through this as quick
Black
as
Panther
possible.
2?
So
Sorry, Mike.
no,
Please
no,
don't
it's
hurt me. I'm
fine.
sorry. Don't hurt me, Mike
Listen,
Tyson.
listen here. I'll bite your ear off.
Oh God.
Anyway, so Black Panther 2, Blade, Captain Marvel 2, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So that's everything that they've announced
All right.
under the Marvel brand.
What's out of
Woo!
everything that was announced? What's got you the most excited? I already know
Um,
what has me the most excited. I don't think that you'd be able to pick out what I have what's most
there,
exciting to me.
there's wow, it's tough to pick just one because I'm
But you
excited for
gotta
Armor.
pick one. You
I'm
gotta pick
ex-
one.
I'm excited for Armor Wars because that I read as a comic as a kid. And I just love all the different armors and I love Iron Man's arsenal and stuff like that. The what if is interesting to me because I thought the what ifs were one-off episodes, and the way the trailer made it seem like it felt like it was a continuous series,
Well,
which
you
gets
know
me
my
that
policy. I don't
that
watch
gets me.
trailers, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, they with the what if they made it seem originally I thought it was okay, one episode is going to be about uh Peggy Carter taking the role as
Right.
Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case because we have the Watcher and it seems like it's an overarching arc for them. So it seems like it's not going to be just one episode. Here's a what if. It seems like it's an entire episode that ties everything together, and there's actually some mythology behind it. So, and it maybe this plays into the Doctor Strange movie with the multiverses and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like.
Okay.
Um, that's exciting. She Hulk, obviously, because I am a huge Hulk fan. But I think the
I
one that
said one. Pick one.
I know. I'm gonna get to it, but I just had to mention those because those are the ones that have me really excited. Oh, and Moon Knight also.
Oh,
I had to screen that one. No, but the one that I'm really excited for, seems to me the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
oh,
That
really?
trailer looks amazing.
I don't watch
I mean,
trailers.
oh, dude, that
I don't watch
there,
trailers unless I'm forced to, or unless there's like I'm being spoiled already online and everyone's like talking about it, and I have no choice but to watch it so that I can actually go back to my regular day to day social media addiction.
Falcon in that trailer has such a huge moment at the very end. It's the pin to the entire trailer,
Hmm.
and that thing alone had me just like, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
because
All right.
it's a sequence of him flying, and I'll just leave it at
No,
that
don't tell
because
me. Don't
I don't
tell
want to
me.
spoil it, but it's a
Don't spoil it.
sequence of him flying, and it just shows how badass he is.
All
I'll
right.
leave
Well,
it
I
at
guess
that.
I'm gonna freaking watch the trailer.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I didn't spoil it. I just said it shows how badass he is when he's
You're
flying.
making me watch the trailer, so you're making me spoil myself. That's why I don't like
Dude,
watching trailers. I don't like to be spoiled, even if it's by me. I'm gonna
the
hate myself
trailer
afterwards.
the
I'm gonna have to
trailer
like go to
had
like a
me
support group for spoiling something for myself.
that trailer had me so excited. I was like, "Wow." So that's the one that I'm
What do you
really
think? What do
excited
you think
for.
I'm most excited about?
Talking about the shows
Yeah,
or the
Marvel
films.
stuff in
I I
general. Marvel stuff. Well,
I'm
if we're talking
I'm
about the films, there is something that I'm super excited about that came out recently. But again, it's because Disney doesn't know how to keep their mouths trapped. I'm super excited to see Daredevil reprising his role in
that is going to
Spider-Man
be
3.
awesome. That is going to be awesome.
Um, you know, again, if it really is only one scene that he's in, and it is what I think it is, and I told you what I think it is, which is I think that
Mhm.
there's gonna be a little compilation where Peter Parker's just gonna, or the three Spider-Mans or whatever, they're just gonna be flying through these universes through wormholes or whatever it is in the Spider-Verse, and we're just gonna see one clip. If they spoiled that he's gonna be in the movie and it's only one scene that he's in, I'm gonna be super bad. I'm gonna be
Well,
pretty
I
upset.
I,
Because
I
like if
will
he's
say
only got
this.
one scene, then the spoiler is it's just it doesn't make sense. But
But
that is what I'm most excited about because I love seeing Daredevil on anything.
I will say this. Keep an eye out on She-Hulk because you might see a certain attorney drop into that show. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
So,
my hope is that Daredevil gets his own show after a bunch of little cameos because
yeah,
there's such a big campaign on Save Daredevil. I'd really like to see that happen. But out of everything that was announced on Marvel side, Hawkeye is what I'm most excited about.
I was just about to say it was between Hawkeye and Secret Invasion. Those are the two that I was
I'm
pegging you
super
for.
excited for Secret Invasion. I'm extremely excited for Moon Knight, but Hawkeye the comic holds a special place in my heart because Hawkeye is like he's like in between being an anti-hero and like a superhero, right? Like he doesn't want to be he doesn't want to be a hero. He just does things because he has to do things. But then with his daughter, it's the only thing that kind of binds him. And then like seeing the transformation of his daughter becoming Hawkeye in the comic, it's been pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm really, really excited to see that brought to the screen. So
Okay. I like I said, it was between that and Secret Invasion that I had you pegged for, but Yeah, I mean it looks really really good, and finally Hawkeye gets some relevance here because he kind of is the forgotten figure within the Avengers right now.
Hmm.
He really doesn't play that huge of a role. Even uh, Scarlett Johansson's character Black Widow has more of a role than Hawkeye does at this point. I think
But
Hawkeye,
that's the thing.
his
Like even in
biggest
the
role
comics,
was stealing, the cube. I forgot what it's called. For Loki, that was his biggest
the
thing.
Tesseract.
The Tesseract. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Well, yeah,
I
that's
was
true. But
blanking there.
again, like so in the comics and in the Avengers, Hawkeye kind of plays this character that he's just kind of like on the sidelines. A little bit of that is sort of a little bit of like the team dynamic comic relief. He's kind of like oh well, what about me, guys? Oh yeah, of course, forget about me. Nobody cares about Hawkeye. I'm just a guy with bow and arrow. You know what I mean? He doesn't have any
Yeah,
special powers or anything like that, but he's also not Bruce Wayne, so he doesn't have like the charisma and the money.
especially
So
the money.
you know what I mean? So that's the thing about him in the comics, which is also he's just a regular guy in the comics, and
Yeah.
that's I think what the charm is. So
Alright.
but yeah,
All
so
right.
that's
So
all the Marvel stuff, right?
that's all the Marvel stuff. I think that's
What about
enough.
Star
But
Wars stuff?
okay, the Star Wars stuff again. We're just gonna
Again,
roll through
run through the
this.
list.
Yep.
Give me your most excited.
All right. So obviously, the biggest thing to come out of that is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, where it was confirmed that Hayden Christensen is coming back in the
Isn't
role
it
of
Christensen?
Christensen. No, it's Christensen. Hayden's coming back as Darth
Hayden's
Vader.
coming back. Yeah.
I'm not having a good time with last names today. Hayden's coming
You
back
know
as
what?
Darth
And
Vader.
that's another one that I think was brought back because of the fans. Because there has been for
He
years
needed
there
to
have been
come
so
back,
much,
though.
huh?
He needed to come back. They
I think
brought
so too.
everybody else. They brought back everybody else.
They
He
did, but
had
you
to
know,
come
but
back.
again, like with this one specifically, there were people talking about like, oh man, Hayden should have been in the Last Jedi, or he should have been in the
Rise of
atrocity. I mean,
Skywalker.
the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, that's where
uh,
I think he would
you
have been
know,
perfect to jump
yeah.
in.
So there's been so much fanfare for him. Pining for him to come back. That like it's wonderful that he's gonna come back in this show, but I'd like to see him just come back in every show as a cameo. Like not just like a character. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
I agree.
I'm
Um,
also really upset that they announced that he's coming back.
that would have been a nice thing to kind of keep until the series
Let
came
me ask
out.
you a question. How do you think you would have reacted? Or this is where my biggest issue comes from. Think about the excitement that we had when we saw Darth Vader, turn on his saber in Rogue One. Now imagine if
I
before Rogue One we knew that Darth Vader was in the film.
That is true. That wasn't something that came out before the film
Right.
was
And it's
premiered.
not like it's a like was a crucial. I mean, it's crucial for like the effect and the connection of Rogue One to A New Hope and all that, but it's one of those things that like, you know, you can keep a secret. You can clearly
Well,
keep it a secret.
I'm going to say this, and it may be you might
You will
not
not
like
change my
the
mind,
answer to this,
but go
but
on.
I think it was easier to cast Darth Vader in Rogue One because you didn't need a specific actor for that. I think it would be infinitely
Mm,
harder to have the Obi-Wan series and Hayden Christensen showing up at the
oh
studio.
yeah.
I think that was the reason why Rogue One could keep it a secret and why Obi-Wan Kenobi maybe wouldn't have been able to.
I
Because,
don't know, man. I don't know.
there's so
I
many
still don't buy it. I still don't
cameras
buy it.
all over the place. It's very difficult to, film anywhere without having somebody take like one of these sneak peek, you know,
But
pictures and
again,
whatnot.
here is the thing. This is my issue. I mean, of course, this is only if Hayden Christensen is coming back as like a main character to the Obi-Wan Kenobi story, then I can understand that because he'll be all over the set. He'll be everywhere. But if he's
Hmm.
just coming back for like a here and there kind of thing, they could have kept it a secret.
Oh, but the rumors would have been gone. The rumors would be through the roof.
I
You
don't
know.
mind rumors. I'd rather rumors than confirmation.
Okay. Well, He is coming back. So unfortunately, we do know about it, and I agree. I think if they were able to keep that under wraps, and then it just kind of he showed up, then it would have been an amazing. That would have been a Rogue One moment, just like you
And I'm
said.
only gonna say this one more time, but the reason I know they can keep it under wraps. Do you know who played Boba Fett in season 1, episode 5?
I'm gonna assume you're gonna say Tamora Morrison, right?
Exactly. He
Okay.
played him, right? They were able to keep him under wraps.
Yeah, but that's Hayden. I think has more visibility than Tamora does. Not to slight
I guess.
Tamora
I'm
as an
I'm
actor.
no, I know more visibility. I understand that, but Boba Fett being the biggest thing about anything Mandalorian.
Okay,
Anyway,
calm down, Gabe, calm down.
go
We
on.
still
Let's
haven't
finish.
even
Let's go through
we
Star Wars so
still
we can
haven't
actually
even
get to
gotten
the
to chapter.
Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Because I didn't
exactly.
get to be on the last episode where Boba Fett actually got announced, and you know that I've been like waiting to like talk about it,
All right,
which is
so
why
let's
I'm doing
let's
a
get
really bad job of not talking about it.
let's get through this then. So, speaking about the Mandalorian, we're going to have two series set in the Mandalorian era, and they are going to be helmed by Favreau and Filoni. So that gives me tons of hope. That one we're going to have Rangers of the New Republic and an Ahsoka series. So the Rangers of the New Republic probably, in my mind, is going to feature Cara Dune in that, and
Hmm.
Ahsoka. Well, I guess it's going to feature Ahsoka. You know.
Yeah.
So you also have other series. Some of them we know, some of them we don't. Andor, which was previously announced, they reaffirmed that. Some characters from the Clone Wars animated series, Star Wars: The
Hmm.
Bad Batch, they get their own.
Hmm.
There's a series called Star Wars Vision. Lando gets a series.
Yeah.
There's a series called A Droid Story. I wonder who that's going to feature. And the last one, which I find really, really interesting, is called The Acolyte. And that
That one,
one,
yes.
that one is a female-led martial arts series. That to me sounds
Interesting. I didn't know
really,
that.
really interesting.
I
Oh
didn't know
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. It's
Interesting.
that's why I find that super,
This,
super
but this is
interesting.
also set in the High Republic too.
Yes, exactly.
Now, here's the question that I have: Is this the fabled story that's going to be part of the High Republic that they were talking about, or do you think that there's still one more property that is the High Republic show?
No, this my understanding is the acolyte is going to occur towards the end of the High Republic era.
Right, right. But like,
So
if you remember, before all of this, there was the rumors that they were working
right.
on a storyline for the High Republic. Um, is this like that's my
Well,
thing? Like, is
the
this
High
it, or is there
Republic,
something else? Is
I
the
think
next
there's
set of
something else.
movies going to be High Republic?
We don't know that. We don't know that. But I,
Yeah.
I do
Okay.
know that the High Republic, this is not going to be a one off because they are creating a book series around the High Republic. So they're
Hmm.
probably going to, in some way, shape, or form, translate that over to the
Right.
cinematic side. So
Okay.
I think this is just the beginning, maybe to like get people's feet wet into the High Republic.
Hmm.
But to me, this is super exciting.
Well,
Think of like
which is your
kung fu in the Star Wars uh
yeah,
and
right.
cinematic universe. That sounds super awesome to me.
So, which is your what's the thing you're most excited about?
The thing that
I'm
I'm
gonna
most
guess. I'm gonna guess Ahsoka.
yeah, I am excited about that, but there's one thing that I haven't mentioned that I'm really excited about.
Most excited
Uh
about?
yep. And that is the feature film that they announced that will be coming out in December of 2023. And the next film in the Star Wars franchise is titled Rogue Squadron.
Oh, that's right.
And it's directed
Yes.
by Patty Jenkins, who we all know and love, was responsible for the Wonder Woman movies.
Hmm.
So that to me is super exciting. If you're gonna tell me just on the series alone, I would say I'm tied between Ahsoka and the Acolyte.
Mm.
Those are the two that I'm super excited about, and Obi-Wan is just right behind it.
I'm torn between Obi-Wan just because of Hayden Christensen, because I think that like I thought that, especially in Revenge of the Sith, that was his, like, I thought that he finally came on into himself,
Mm-hmm.
as Anakin Skywalker, and then eventually also as Darth Vader towards the end.
Yep.
Um, but I wanted to explore him from that point on. If we
Yeah.
could have seen that performance in the first two, in the previous, in the Clone Wars, I think that, like, Clone Wars obviously would have been much, much better for it, but I would have loved to have seen more of that. So I'm glad that we're going to get that. If it is that we're going to get a meaty role by him, you know, um,
The
I am
reason.
assuming that it is, simply because, if it's gonna be following the comic, which it seems like that's, or the books, which it seems like that's where they're doing, even though Disney uncanonized the expanded universe into Legends, but then
Mhm.
Filoni is like, well, that's cool, you did that, but I'm just bringing it back in my own version. Then you will see a lot of stuff from Hayden through that Obi-Wan series, where, like, it might be like the duality of, like, Obi-Wan's, path. It's set like 8 years after Revenge of the Sith,
Mhm.
I believe.
Yes,
And
that
then you
is
see, like,
accurate.
Darth Vader, becoming the conqueror, and searching for something out there related to the Force, that he feels he's always felt something. He's always searching for it. You know,
Well,
so
there's two things that I would love to see out of this Obi-Wan series. One, if we're not if the Solo series is dead, then this is probably, in my mind, the only way that you can bring back Maul into the cinematic universe. Because around this time, I believe he might be still alive and looking for Obi-Wan, to get his revenge for the events that happened um, during the Phantom Menace and during the series as well. But the other thing that I thought that would be really interesting to revisit and to kind of get a sense of what it is Darth Vader hunting down the Jedi after Revenge of the Sith.
right,
The kind of like the Jedi purge, so to speak. I think that would
right.
be
But
an
see,
interesting
I
thing
still
to
think
do.
that it. I don't, because I don't believe that Obi-Wan's path, like, really intertwines too much with that
Right.
storyline.
Right.
I feel
Exactly.
like, if anything, Obi-Wan's obviously going to be his path, and they should, like, reveal Darth Vader and Hayden in there, to then eventually reveal a Darth Vader show, which is what everybody really, really, really wants.
Exactly.
Um,
So that's
but
why I say if they
yeah,
put that in there, then that's a perfect way to get to that Vader series that you were talking about.
yeah. For
So
me, the thing that I'm most excited about, like I said, it would have been Obi-Wan, and I'm super excited for that, and I'm really excited for Ahsoka's show too. Um, but it's gonna be the Acolyte, just because I want to see more High Republic. I want to see Old Republic stuff. Like, this is the stuff that's like Star Wars galaxy building. You know what I mean?
mhm.
It's the High Republic. And or rather the Old Republic, but we're not getting that. So the next best thing would be High Republic. Even though this is happening towards the end of the High Republic, I want to see that world.
Yeah, I
So
agree. I
that's what I'm
agree. And
most excited about.
like I said, martial arts in the Star Wars universe. Are you
Oh,
kidding me? Come on now.
absolutely
You know what I'm
sick.
saying? That just sounds awesome. So that is in a nutshell the Investor Day, which took quite a lot. Oh, I did forget one thing. Indiana Jones gets a last movie with Harrison
Oh,
Ford in the role. I forgot about
oh
that. So
wow. I did not
that's
hear about that
something
either. So much
something
information. Holy crap.
it's so easy to and I'm sure I missed a couple of things here and there, but we're already an hour into this, and we really need to move on, but there was a lot of stuff on the
Well,
investors day.
before we move on, obviously, before we move on to the actual second part of the show, which is, The Mandalorian, chapter 15, True Believer, or The Believer, rather.
I believe. Hmm.
Is The Believer, right?
Yes.
Just a quick reminder, guys, if you guys are enjoying the episode, enjoy the show, and you want to, give us a little bit of support, just go ahead and like, rate, share, and subscribe. Send this, hit the share button, and send this to your favorite person, Star Wars nerd, geek person, Disney fan, whatever it is. Send it to someone you think that would enjoy the episode, and remind them to like, rate, share, and subscribe as well, just to kind of give us a little bit of help. The more feedback and the more subscribers we get, the bigger our audience grows, the more better content, more stuff that we can bring you guys. So, as so far, we truly appreciate you guys for listening thus far and, following us and continuing to support us. But if you haven't yet, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. So, anyway,
I concur.
El
So,
El Mandalorian, chapter
oh
15.
boy, what an
15.
episode!
I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and say this real quick. I thought it was the best paced, acted, directed episode thus far in the entire show, season 1 and season 2.
Yep.
From
I
a
agree.
performance standpoint, from every single one of the actors in it, I thought it was the best performance given by everyone, every single role. I thought that the world that was built was amazing. Like there was the terrain, the cinematics, the effects, everything was awesome. Every single role was proportionate. The show was about Din Djarin, Mando,
Finally,
and yeah, and there was an amazing redemption arc in Bill Burr's character, Mayfield, right? So, um, I guess a quick little recap or synopsis rather. Mando, or rather, the show starts with Cara Dune breaking out Mayfield from the prison in order so that they can help Mando get some sort of coordinates for Moff Gideon, and they go through an excursion to try to get these coordinates, and some big things happen in the show relating to the revelation of or not the revelation, but Mando kind of I guess setting aside his vows and his creed, you
mm-hmm.
know, which I think starts giving us the hint of like, a little bit of that character development where like previously we see Din Djarin like really like set to his rules, never takes off his helmet, every single his armor, his weapons are his creed, as part of his religion, the whole nine. But little by little through his experiences, he realizes that the world and the creed itself is not so black and white, and he has to sacrifice parts of his creed in order to achieve certain goals. And maybe that's where he starts realizing that, like, you know, Boba Fett's way, for example, you know, he may have taken creed, he may have not, but everyone has their own way, right?
Right.
So, how did
I,
you feel about like the episode and everything related to it?
well, I was. It's interesting because this is the first time I believe in the entire season, in the entire series itself, that Baby Yoda did not make an appearance, like at all.
Oh,
He
right.
has always been in the show, and this is the one time where it's like, you know what, guys, I'm hanging out with Moff Gideon. You guys handle this episode. I'm taking the week off. You know, I found that super interesting. But you know what, the show didn't suffer for it. It was
No,
a
it didn't.
very tightly paced episode. Um, everything kind of fell into place. uh, we had some emotional moments. We had the instance where Mando had to take off the helmet, and not only the helmet, the entire get up, the entire uniform had to come off. um, which I find it more, in my mind, it's a questioning of whether his particular sect of Mandalorism, if you want to call it, I guess, right?
Hmm.
Whether he's now starting to question it, but I also believe that it shows that how far he's willing to go to save Grogu, Baby Yoda.
Right.
You
Oh
know,
man, and we kind of see how far he's willing to go when we see the taken message at the end.
oh, that is
And
great.
that was one of the best parts in the entire series, the entire episode, where
Yep.
at the end um, we get him like Santa. He had, well, let's get to how he got the coordinates, right? So we're talking about him having to switch out his armor. The only way that he can get into the Imperial base is that he needs to disguise himself as a tank trooper. So he has to take off his armor to put on the tank trooper armor.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's getting crap from Mayfield for like, oh, so much for
That
your
was
code
great.
and this, that, and the other. But then that joking around kind of thing started turning into a more of a profound moment where even both of them connected on like everyone is something until they're not, until they have to make a
Hmm.
choice, you know. And I think in that moment, Mando's like, "Hey, you're nothing like me." I mean, I think he said that kind of in those words in the episode, but then he realizes that like maybe we're more alike than I care to admit, you know. And when they get to the actual base to get to the terminal, so that they get to get Moff Gideon's coordinates, he because the terminal requires the um because the terminal requires facial recognition, he has to take off his helmet so that he doesn't get caught. And you see him take off the helmet and get the facial recognition, but you also see you see pain in his face. You see pain in his
Yes,
eyes that he broke
that
his
was
own code,
hard.
you know? And it's like he doesn't say anything, but you can see it. He almost looked like he's about to whimper and cry that he broke his own creed, you know, for this.
That was a
And
very difficult and profound moment for the character,
right.
you know.
And then
And you know what? He sold it off so well with his performance. It was amazing.
and yes, he did. And then to Bill Burr's credit, he came in like obviously. So one of the commanding officers comes to Din Djarin and asks him for his like his chain code or whatever it is, and Mayfield comes in and kind of saves the day and all that. Then they get into a shootout, they cause a ruckus and the whole nine. But Mayfield, like understanding how important the creed is to Din Djarin, tells him, "No one ever saw your face. We'll never speak about this again."
Yeah, it's
You know,
true.
kind of thing. So like Mayfield, someone who seems to not care about creeds and about allegiances and stuff like that. I mean, remember he was Empire, now he's against the Empire. Now he was basically like a pirate, you know.
Hmm.
Um, he now understands how important it is to Din, and so he reassures him that his secret stays safe with him, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no
And
reason for Din to believe him, but I think because of that bond that they kind of created in those the episode, that you can see that he trusts him. So
yeah, and you know what? There was some really good relationship building in that tank with, like you had mentioned before.
right, right,
Um, I think one of the interesting things, and I think Mayfield was probably one of the MVPs of the episode, because the way that he carried about himself, it really shows, that especially in this show, there really is no good and evil. There's kind of like that gray in between with
yes,
him. And you saw that especially with Mayfield, because the conversation that they had with the tank, but especially specifically when they got into the that complex, right? And he was the one that was supposed to carry out the mission, but at the very last second he had to back out, because again, he used to be Empire, and his commanding officer was in the mess hall where the computer was. And so he couldn't do it, and that put Din in the position to have to go in and
right.
have to take
Hmm.
off his helmet. And then the conversation that they had was such a tension filled 5 minutes right there,
Oh man,
because that conversation started with those two Imperial officers, and I forget the one guy who's a great character actor. He was the Night King, and he also, I believe, was Joe Chill in Batman Begins and whatnot. And forgive me, I'm gonna have to
that's
look up his
right. He
name.
was. I knew I recognized him from.
Yeah,
Oh man,
he's
yeah.
been in so many shows, and he's that guy that you recognize his face, because he's got a very distinct look about him, right? And he kind of plays those very sneering kind of
Yeah, kind of like
characters. They're
like
shady. You know,
shady is the word. Shady is the word.
Yeah, he does it really well. And the whole conversation with him is that he sees Din having trouble with the computer, and he walks over there and tries to find out. And then Mayfield, knowing that the guy knows him, still went ahead and kind of saved Din. And then there was this back and forth. What's your name? Who are you? And all this stuff. And they end up sitting down and having a drink. And for the next, I want to say it's like 5 minutes. That was
At
the
least it
most.
felt like that. I think it was
Yeah,
probably like 2 minutes, but it felt
it
like such a
was.
like, just because it was so intense.
Oh my
It
gosh, it
felt
was
like
like edge of
it
your
felt, yeah.
seat,
Yeah,
because
man, because you knew something was
everything.
about to happen. You could see it in Bill Burr's face and everything. You could see it in like commanding officer. He sees that like something's about to happen. It
But the
reminded
great
me.
thing is, the great thing is that it started as a conversation, but as it continued, all the audience had to do was look at Din's face and see where this thing was going,
Well, didn't like he
because
also like at one point he like looked at like
I
Mayfield's face
don't
and he
know,
like
right?
he nodded like no, and then Bill's like
Nope, gotta
screw it.
go.
He put it reminded me of this scene in the Inglorious Bastards when they were in the basement bar, if you remember,
In glory, yes,
where they
with the
like they all
Nazis.
kind of yeah they're all like talking to each other and they kind of realize that they're like that something's about to go down, and then you just have that tense moment, and then someone throws the first shot.
And it's all because of the guy, the way that he
The way that he held the three,
the three, right? Exactly. I
yeah.
remember that. Yeah, it felt exactly like that.
With Mayfield, the commanding officer was like, "What battalion were you in?" He was like, "That whole battalion got wiped out." He's like, "Yeah, yeah, except for me." You know what I
Yep.
mean? And then that was the moment that like you knew that like something was gonna go down. Oh man,
That
that was such
officer,
a good scene.
the actor's name is Richard Brake.
Okay,
I had to find and put it out
gotta
there
give him
because
credit. Gotta give him
yeah,
credit.
he's such a great character. And this is the one instance we didn't give an episode full of Easter eggs, but this is the one instance that gave us the big one, and it was the mention of Operation Cinder. So I don't know if you're familiar with Operation Cinder and what that is, but that's a huge.
I've read it mentioned. I've read it in a few research articles and stuff like that, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with the operation itself.
So Operation Cinder is a big moment after Return of the Jedi. It follows, a couple of weeks after the Battle of Endor, and it's funny because we were watching it together, me, AJ, and Eli. And when Operation Cinder was mentioned, AJ just turned around and he was like, "What?" They went there. Operation
Nice.
Cinder is the edict that the emperor put into place because he had always felt that the empire would never outlast his life. And so he put into place a series of contingency plans. And I even believe the plan is called the contingency, where the empire was supposed to crash and burn if Palpatine ever died.
Oh
And,
wow.
and so, you know, that we know that now it's canon that was actually put into place, and we see the effects because what's supposed to happen is that they're supposed to, one of the things that happened in Operation Cinder is that there were certain imperial planets that were totally wiped out as part of this plan. And
Oh
so
shoot.
that his thing was like, you know what, the empire will never outlive me. And so that's what Operation Cinder was all about. So the one Easter egg that they drop is a huge one, and again, understanding why Mayfield hated Brake's character so much, because you know what, he was there, he oversaw and ran the operation, and it's just like, you know what, people that I knew died, men that
Right. Right.
I fought with died, and you're still here, So it all makes sense. But what a scene. What a scene,
And so from there we get the shootout. The shootout was awesome. I think the action. Oh, and before we get to that part, there's one thing like I gotta say. In this
Mm.
episode, we got like the real Mando. We got the real Din Djarin. We got to see him be like a total badass, super well versed in shooting, acrobatics, martial arts ability, close quarters combat, smart with what he's doing. Something that we haven't really seen in a lot in this season that I'm
Yeah,
already kind of used to seeing from the first season, which
that's the
is
frustrating
go
thing.
to like yeah, it's a little frustrating when like the consistency isn't there. If you think about like the previous episode, um, and I know that this was meant to make Boba Fett look like a badass because he is, but you see Mando like the only action he got was when he went down to kind of rescue Fennec, and he's just serving as a human shield. He's like just standing there, shooting here, shooting there, but he's just getting shot left and right and whatnot. And they're in a plain place where he has cover. He can shoot from cover if he wants to, but he doesn't. So it shows a very kind of amateurish, not a well versed warrior kind of look. And then you have this episode where from a moving the Juggernaut, as they call it, the
Mm-hmm.
moving vehicle from the platform, he's shooting um hovering crafts and enemies and whatnot, and then fighting them aboard the moving Juggernaut multiples of them at a time
That was a
with
great action
fluidity,
scene.
choreography. Just he just looks completely different to me. He looked like Solid Snake doing CQC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that was amazing. That was awesome, and it was great to see that. So now going to the shootout at the end, we see again him being a you know a warrior, a badass warrior, because he doesn't have his Mandalorian armor anymore, so he can't just take the shots.
Mm-hmm.
And they escape through the window vent and all that, and then we see the rescue from the slave one that comes down to pick him up.
Hey,
Awesome
before
scene.
you move on, you just mentioned something interesting, and I wanted to point out something. I don't
Oh,
know if you
sure.
caught it while they were on the Juggernaut. You mentioned that he didn't have his armor on. Did you get that? Did you see that point where he tried to block a shot with his hand?
Yes. He
You
tried to
know, and
block with his hand. He tried to like use his helmet, but then he realized
yep,
that like he doesn't have it. The armor's
that's
falling apart and
great.
whatnot. In
It's
that
the
moment, he
little,
realizes that he doesn't have it, that he can't use it, and he
yep,
switches to like CQC. You know?
exactly. It's those subtle little things that make this
Yes.
show
Yeah.
so awesome. Because you know
Yeah.
what?
That was
He's
good.
so
That was
used to
good.
fighting with the armor that all of a sudden he has that moment. He was like, "Oh crap, I don't have it with I got to switch on the fly." And he does it, and it is a freaking awesome action scene,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So anyway, going back to the shootout, you know.
Right. So I mean, we have Boba that comes in, and oh man, that's another thing we didn't talk about. Boba Fett's armor,
That
dude. Well, how do you feel
that
about the armor?
man, it felt you're probably not gonna like this, and you're probably gonna say that it's my
I
Boba
think I
Fett
agree. No, I think I agree
antagonist.
with you.
It
No, I
looked
agree with
too
you.
clean, man. What
Yeah, it looked
did
it
he?
looked it looked too fake.
It
It
did
looked
it.
too plastic. You
It
know.
looked like he had just finished doing his cosplay costume and put it on for the first time.
I've seen
I
cosplay costume that looks more realistic than what he had on. But at the same time, I will say that like when I first saw it, I didn't like it at all. I felt that it was too clean, first of all.
It
Um
had like a matte
Second of
finish
all,
to it.
if you're gonna look, the armor looks brand new. It doesn't look like even if you painted over it, the armor has had scrapes and bumps and dents. This armor looked like he just bought it brand new. So it's not just a paint job.
Well,
Minus the helmet. The helmet still had like the dent
yeah,
on the
the
skull.
homie did still have that, but you're right.
Right, but like even if you did a complete paint over, you should still be able to see like scratches and dents. It's not it's still weathered. Even if you like clean off the paint and then give it a new paint job, it's still not going to be smooth the way that it was unless you got brand new armor. And we know now because it was made canon in the previous episode, unless it was by accident, that it's Beskar armor.
Yes.
So where did he get Beskar to like refill it? How do you manipulate Beskar unless you're an armorer? So like
I
he didn't, you know?
I didn't like that because you know what,
Yeah.
in my mind, and especially in the warrior tradition, my way of thinking is this: every little scratch and every little bump and nick tells a story, and if you
Right.
take that away,
It builds
it
character.
kind of right, and if you take that away, it almost takes away the power of the armor. That's how I felt when I
Yeah.
saw that. It
So
was
I
kind of
wasn't
like
too
you're
thrilled about it.
wiping all that stuff out.
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled about the armor, but I've grown into it because I see also like what I saw in that episode was Boba Fett as an elite warrior, so it's almost like this is like his new elite, commando armor and stuff like that. But I'm also
Hmm.
missing the cape. Now I know that his new look is the armor and then like sort of like the robe underneath and like
I like the way he looked
I like it. I do
this
like it, but
episode.
I miss the cape. The cape is classic. The cape
No,
is
of
too
course.
classic. The shoulder cape, too
Yeah, yeah,
classic.
yeah.
So
Eh,
I kind of miss that.
we kind
So
of
I don't
made
know how
fun
I
of
feel about the armor yet.
Boba Fett with his dad bod in
That was the robe. That was
the
just the
one.
robe under
No,
the
I know.
armor.
But in this episode, he looked pretty
Yeah,
good. But like I said,
because
he is
yeah,
missing the cape. That's kind of his thing.
yeah.
You have
But
the rocket and the cape. Those are two of his signature things, and
right.
it was missing that.
But what we did get was while Boba Fett was still super cool in this episode to me, We got the interior of the Slave One. So clearly the
Yes.
Slave One is what like was the start of the show when it came to like Boba Fett's angle. And then we got an awesome interior. We can see like there's like almost like a conference area where everyone has a chair. It almost looks like a Mandalorian, a Jedi Council kind of room and stuff. But we also got to see from the rescue him take out two TIE fighters, with a concussion.
Oh my
Concussion. Oh my
gosh,
god,
that
it was
was
so good. It
so
was like
awesome.
it was cool because it was subtle, right? There could have been a dogfight, but Boba, the Slave One, is just equipped to be like a total badass neutralizing ship. Flies
You know,
up, sees that there's two TIE fighters on his tail. He just drops a concussion bomb, and then everything goes silent, and it just destroys them. And it's almost like that. It's like a mic drop move. You know what I mean?
you know
So
that
cool.
that's because that's a callback to the scene in Attack of the Clones when
I thought so. Actually, I
yeah,
thought it. I thought it looked familiar.
when Django was chasing Obi-Wan
Yeah. Yeah.
through the asteroid field, he was like, "Oh, Boba Fett, get him, shoot him," and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I that scene is the scene that I use to calibrate my surround sound system because of the deep bass and
Yes.
the treble that comes out. I must have used that and gone back to that scene at least 50 times. And to
Yeah. He
see it in the
drops a
Mandalorian, it was like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
he drops a concussion. He drops a concussion bomb that destroys like the asteroids behind it to create debris for Obi-Wan, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So it was
I
just
remember
one of
that.
those
Yeah.
things where it's like, oh my gosh, they actually did that.
So cool,
And
super cool.
yeah, it was just awesome. So there's
So
so many things to
right,
be really,
like
excited
it's
about this
cool if you've never
episode.
seen it, but it's even more cool if you're in the universe.
Yep.
All right, so after the rescue happens, we see that we have Mayfield gets let go. He obviously he did his good deeds. He kind of served his purpose, and instead of bringing him back to the prison, they kind of fake his death and let him free because he had a great redemption arc in here, right? And I
Hmm.
think that it was obviously purposefully done, where his episode in the the previous in season one was called The Prisoner,
Hmm.
and this episode is The Believer. So it's almost like just in the titles, you see that there's going to be a transformation because he
Right.
went from being the prisoner to being the believer.
Yeah,
He
I
believed
agree.
in inherent good.
Yeah, that's why I say Bill Burr's character Mayfield, he was
Yeah,
kind of the MVP of this episode because
for sure. 100%.
yeah,
100%.
he did such a great job in embodying. I want to see that character back. I really really do.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
think that we're
hope.
probably going to get him in one episode every season.
Yeah.
I think so.
And
Um,
the interesting thing is that and one thing that we didn't mention, all these Star Wars series, they're going to be interconnected. So we're going to have characters, especially the ones with
yeah.
Filoni and
Yeah.
Favreau, they're going to be bouncing back between series. So you can easily see him in the Ranger of the New Republic. He'll probably show up back here again. Ahsoka, I struggle to see how he could show up on that one, but hey, you never know,
You never
But
know, man. You
I
never know.
do want to see more of this
He could be
character.
like he could be like you remember the black character that was the gun dealer in the Netflix Marvel shows in Daredevil, Punisher, and he was
Yeah,
always
what
like
was his name? Oh
I
my
forgot
gosh,
his
he
name,
had
but he always showed up in one or two episodes of every show.
yeah, oh gosh, what was his name? I
Like
know it's like a
he's like part of
one
like
word name.
because Bill Burr's like he's part of the underworld but he's also kind of comic relief. So I feel like that's what that's the purpose that he's
Yeah,
serving.
but he's also a good fighter. I mean, that shot that he
Yeah,
took at
he
the
is.
very
Yep.
end of the episode just
Oh, he
proved
used
it,
to be Imperial. He used to be Imperial.
And
So
he's one of these guys that don't miss, you know?
yeah,
Which is
yeah.
something the stormtroopers love to do over there. So, you know.
So at the very end, we get the coordinates, mission accomplished, the whole nine, and we close the episode with what we mentioned before, which was Din Djarin's Mando's taken message to Moff Gideon. We
Hmm.
cut to Moff Gideon on his starship, and they receive a message from Din Djarin, and they play it, and it's a hologram. And this is the first time that I can really remember, Moff Gideon, even from like some of the comics that I've read, you don't ever see Moff Gideon getting shaken, you know. And in this one, you see Moff Gideon kind of like with a look of concern as he sees a holographic image or a holographic message of Mando in his armor, looking menacing, and repeating the same words that Moff Gideon had told um, Mando in the first season, right? I
Yes.
believe it was in the first season where he's
Yes.
like, "This child means more to me than you will ever know." But
Yep.
we get that this time from Mando, and you just kind of feel it, like you feel the anger that like this is my child that you took away from me. It feels like I'm not a father. Um, I've had pets that I feel like that make me feel like a father,
You're a
but it
father.
feels like this is the anger of a father whose son was taken from him, like real anger. And I was like, ooh, this is chilling. You know,
Yeah, and
sets up the next episode beautifully.
you could see in Gideon's face that he was kind of shaken by that. And he's usually unflappable, and
Yeah,
he's usually and that one I won't say that it's fear. I think it was more anger or more of a how dare you type of moment for him, you know. Because I'm pretty sure Gideon doesn't get responded to in that fashion by anybody, and to have
yeah,
this
for sure.
bounty hunter who had the gall to send this, it's probably embarrassing, but it's probably hitting his ego a lot more, and maybe that's the reason why Mando put it out there. It's kind of like, you know what, I need to get any advantage that I can gain, and if I can kind of shake this guy just even a little bit, maybe that goes in my favor, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I see it. And that's the end of the episode. What did you think overall? I mean, I know that we both already said that like this is the best directed episode, best acted episode, best paced episode of, for me, it's of the series so far, so season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
But your general opinions.
Well, this
What
episode was directed by Rick Famuyiwa. I believe that's how his last name is, and given how I'm
I
butchering
have to
last
Google, I'm gonna have to
names,
Google. I'm gonna have to confirm that later.
yeah, given how I've been butchering last names in this episode, but I'm definitely right about the Rick part. So at least we got that right. Um, but yeah, this episode was a highlight in so many respects. There wasn't any down periods. Everything was just moment to
Yeah,
moment.
yeah,
Everything flowed well. You didn't have any uh, variations, any shortcuts, any deviance from this. It was a very tightly
yeah,
packed episode. Everything flowed well together, and you know what, maybe again we're at this point where we're kind of like in the video game aspect of the Mandalorian, where it's like, okay, instead of telling the straight story, it's okay, here's a mission, go there, here's another mission, go
yeah.
there, here's
It's a
another mission.
non-linear show for sure. It's a
Right.
lot non-linear show, but we do know that we're
Especially
at
this
the end.
season.
Yeah,
Especially this season. I think that was part of my my I'm not going to say, disappointment, because
chagrin.
right, exactly. Because every single episode on its own has been fantastic. It's just, in the overall narrative, it's just kind of like all these side quests that are occurring just to get to the very end. So here's
Yeah.
another one, but this one probably for me was one of the best of that bunch. You
I
know,
mean, I still don't consider it like a filler because like part of the story is finding
right?
Moff Gideon and how they got to find him, right? They can't just like
Exactly.
they can't just be like, oh, well, we happen to know where Moff Gideon is. One thing that is exciting to me is the fact that he didn't keep the coordinates himself. He wants to tell Moff Gideon, yeah, I'm coming for you. He want to let him know.
Exactly.
That's why I call it the taken moment. That's the taken moment.
Oh,
So good.
absolutely. I thought it was great.
So that just leaves us with one more episode, that leaves us with the
Sucks.
final episode of the season. I'm looking forward to it, honestly. It to be honest with you, I call it, maybe blame this on like some of the fillers, but I'm just eager to get the rest of the story because we got so many fillers already, and knowing that the
Mhm.
next episode isn't going to be a filler is great to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. And also,
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. It's a shame because um it kind of feels like we got here very quickly, um
well, yeah,
eh,
because the thing is that the show was really episode 1, then 5, 6, 7, 8.
Exactly.
If
And
you
again,
skip episode 2, 3, and 4, you would have missed nothing.
especially that second episode. That second episode to me
Yeah.
brought absolutely nothing to the table in terms of the story. A great episode on its own, but you know, like you said,
Yeah,
if
they're great, but unnecessary. So,
exactly. So
anyway,
yeah, pretty good.
so is there anything else that you want to add, or should we close this out?
No, I think we've done quite a bit of
We did. We got through a
yeah,
lot,
we
actually.
did a lot today. So yeah, I
Man.
think we're ready to close this out.
Well, once again, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And assuming that you enjoyed the show, please like, rate, share, and subscribe. And hit us up. We would love more engagement from you guys. We would love to hear more from you. It doesn't matter what it is, positive notes, negative critiques. We just want to know. We want to get some feedback so that we can improve whatever you feel like we can do better. Types of episodes that you want to hear us do. All these things that we can. Maybe during the break that we're going to be taking, think about like how we can improve the show. We're always looking to improve, and we can only do that with your feedback. So, really hoping that we get some of that feedback, and when we take some of this time off, we'll still be active online and continue to engage with you guys through social media, and maybe get a little bit of info from you guys that way. But just know that we thank you guys so much for listening to the episode, hopefully enjoying the episode, and for getting the word out about Get Geek. So
There you go.
on behalf of myself, Walter, and the rest of the crew, look at that, you're rubbing off of me remotely. You're
I
rubbing off
told
on
you
me remotely.
this week has been rough. This week has been rough. But you know what? Next week we're gonna have a really good episode. Hopefully we have everybody back together and we're going to
Oh,
be
we
talking about
should, right?
the end of the Mandalorian season 2,
Yeah.
chapter 16. So I'm excited about that.
So, once again, on behalf of myself, Walter, and the rest of the crew,
There you go.
okay, stay geeky, my friends.
Later.